rock and roll. Okay, looks like we're live. Um, Running a little late, still having some hardware problems, but I finally got them diagnosed, so I know what's going on. So let's jump right into it. We're going to jump over to Creative Studio. We're going to launch Creative Studio. So what I'm going to talk about today is I'm going to just design a basic mug. It's a project I'm working on for a client. They're a local makerspace. And they've done most of the artwork. I've done a little bit of the layout already today, but the main thing I'm covering is how do you present this to your clients? So you've got a client who, hey, I want you to do a mug. How do you give them something that they can see without actually producing a mug? So there's your standard 11-ounce C-handle mug, no big deal. So I'm just going to pull up one of the standard templates. I'm not going to use my own. I've got a bunch, but let's see. What do we want to do? Let's do product-specific templates. Those bag tags, sales samples. No, I don't want to pull any of those up. Let's do. Oh, what do we got? Skulls. Oh, those are pretty cool skulls. I don't see any pirate skulls though. A lot of cowboy skulls. Let's see. I feel like doing something piratey today. Nothing for pirate. Anything for pirates? Oh man, no pirates. Right, holidays and festivals. Ooh, beer festivals. Well, what's the next holiday coming up? Got Easter. Never thought about doing an Easter mug though. Mother's Day mug. That there's got to be a template for. And there is. Let's do Mother's Day mug design. So there's a nice multi-piece. As we've discussed a little bit before, if you want to see all the individual parts that are made of, it's all made out of these individual pieces. If you wanted to change any of the text, if you wanted to change any of the, just to give you an idea of what the designers at Sawgrass have put together. For anything, there's a lot of stuff. If you click on it, if there's ability to change colors, it's going to come up down here. So like the swirlies are done in white. If you want to do a different color, you could. That's not what we're here. One thing, if you'll notice, it's a little higher, but not as wide as I would like. So we're going to click it. We're just going to stretch it a little bit. I want it all the way into the bleed area. Depending on your mug, you got to know your mug, your paper, your printer to see whether you want it to be in a bleed area. On some of mine, when I've stretched them out to the full bleed area, I've had my C800 overprint a little bit, and in that way, when I go to press the mug, I didn't get enough pressure on it, which was a bad thing. But here it is. Okay, great. So you're like, all right, I've got this, but I don't want to print it to. I don't want to print a mug and hand them a copy, because either if I press it wrong, it's throwing away a mug, or what if I press it and they go, oh, I want to do something different. So we don't want to do that. But how we get this object into something where we can then show what it's going to look like, first we have to print it. Okay, we give it a design. We're going to go call this Mug for Mom. I don't ever print the bleed lines. I'm only printing one. I hit OK. Eventually, like I said, system's running a little slow today. Got a problem with my, for those of you into computers, you might be out here, got a problem with the cooling fan on my CPU. It gets stuck, and then it'll thermal and shut off. So we're hoping that doesn't happen during the live broadcast. So I've covered this in a couple other episodes, but you go click to print, choose where you're going to print it to, Mug for Mom, it'll end up with the sawgrassjob.sg, and you save it there. Yeah, it's being real slow today. My whole system is. So it's got to be throttling back everything. Because it normally doesn't take any time to do this. So we're going to show in folder, and there's Mug for Mom. And what we're going to do with that is we're going to change that to PNG. Turns out that the SG files are actually just PNG files. So if we click and open that, there's the file. Okay. Now the one thing is, when I stretch the background, I didn't stretch this. That's another thing you got to be careful of when you start playing around with the Sawgrass designs. It helps sometimes to zoom in, and that's also why I like to print this and then look at the PNG to make sure. And all you got to do is change the extension back to .sg, capital SG, and the Sawgrass printer will take it fine. So, but that's not what I'm here. What I'm here to talk about for this next thing is a software program called Mug Animator. It's currently on version 4.3. If you look at the description in the YouTube video, I have a link to the software and the company. And it's a company called How to Print Stuff in the UK. They have a lot of interesting stuff here. They talk about sublimation. They've got a bunch of other things. And they have this Mug Animator 3D mockup for Windows and Mac OS. Now, I've already downloaded it, so it's a file. You download the version you want. It'll come in as a zip file. You unzip that file, and you're going to get this directory here, Mug Animator version 4.3. I'm running on Windows. You'll have the one for Mac. In there, it'll be another directory, Mug Animator version 4.3. And then you're going to have a software program called Mug Animator. So now we're going to launch that. So it is currently free. They are asking for donations. As soon as I get a couple more paying jobs and I have a little extra business income, then I'm definitely going to donate to them. So far, I haven't had any clients that have gone with the products I'm looking for, but I haven't had too many mug issues. I've got one now. So here's the Mug Animator. As everyone can see, there is an animated white mug floating around here. You're able to rotate, change the rotation speed. Not only do they have the regular mugs, they have the colored handle mugs, the D-shaped handle mugs, the solid color mugs with a solid panel. This is the color changing mug, if I'm not mistaken. That's a tall, narrow mug that I've never seen. He's got different tumblers. He's got the carabiner stainless steel mug. Or is this the color changing one? This is the color changing one. Even the color changing animation, which was really cool. He does have the new camp mugs. He's recently added non-mug type things. So he's got mouse pads. He's got slates. He has the heart-handled mug. So some interesting things. But I'm sticking here with mugs. So we're going to go back to a standard 11-ounce mug. We're going to pick an image. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to, I'm on the wrong drive. Let's go to downloads, and let's go to Mug for Mom, and we're going to open that up. It's going to pop up in this preview area. Now, if you notice, it's high on the mug, so we're going to bring it down and shift it over. I thought I could shift it over. Maybe this image is too big. Yeah, it's not letting me bring it up, but I can shift it where I want to. So, and I can change the rotation speed, fast or slow. Now you can take a screenshot of this. So if you wanted to just pause it and take a screenshot of this, you can. It'll give you a Mug Animation PNG, which will look like that, which comes very, very close to looking like you took a picture of their mug. The other thing you can do is you actually can save a GIF or a GIF, depending on how you want to pronounce it. it's an animated little picture. He gives you 3 resolution choices. The low will go very quickly. Won't look as good if they try to blow it up. The high is incredible quality, but it takes forever. I just do medium. It, of course, asks you for a name. I'm just going to leave it as Mug Animation. Then it runs through. It runs an animation of a certain amount of time based on the rotation you chose. Then it will process it out. Now, my system's older and it's a little on the slower side, and I'm having some thermal issues, so it takes a little bit of time. But I recommend you go and check out his site. I mean, it is in UK. I wouldn't necessarily, but he's got some good tips on here. You know, showing off some other stuff that you may not have seen. So it's just another good place. And here's the animated GIF or GIF. So as you can tell, even on the medium resolution, that looks like a really good video. If you attach it to an email, most email packages will open it and will show most computers will open it and you can show the graphic. So I've really, really liked what I could do with that. Because otherwise, when you sit there, if you're gonna go do the product mockup maker, okay, that's what it shows your client: a square patch and 3 sides of a mug. Doesn't really show them what you're doing, especially since the sizes don't even match. It's been a short episode. I'm thinking if there's anything else I've encountered this last week working with Creative Studios. Or Creative Studio. Not that I can think of. So yeah, you can, you know, like I said, we can change to anything. If we wanted to put this image on a slate, I don't think I have a good image for that. Oh, here's a good image. This is my great nephew. So we did this on a mouse pad for my niece. So of course, if you notice, it's really stretched out, so it's not going to look as well. You know, you can control this if you want to. Now I've manually controlled it. So obviously the image doesn't fit right. It's just going to squeeze up in the wrong spot. So this was not the proper size image. So it originally was a mouse pad. So let's go and change to a mouse pad. We'll grab that image again. And now even though it's squeezed here, if you look at that image, it's right there. It looks pretty good. So like I said, I'm fairly impressed with this software package. It's really cool that it's free at the moment. You know, but go to their. I get nothing out of it. Haven't ever talked to them. Found it as a recommendation from another thread or YouTube channel that I was watching on Sublimation. So let's look and see if there's any new products that I haven't designed on before. Well, actually, there's a lot I haven't designed on before. Those are all the pre-made frames, ornaments. Well, I just did some pet tags earlier. Did the dog bones. Those were pretty nice. I'm going to do those for my dogs. Using them as a prep to try to get some business at a local pet resort that my dogs are going to be staying at. Guitar picks, those are pretty standard. A lot of people do those. Drinkware, we just were in there. It's all your tumblers, shot glasses. Oh, somebody had a question about getting a shot glass to look right. I can't remember their exact problem with it, but it was curving the text, I think. So let's go with a just standard ceramic shot glass. You can't print it on mug paper, it won't fit. So let's just leave it on letter horizontal. So obviously it already doesn't really fit. This kind of design just doesn't work. So we're going to clear everything. Get rid of everything. All right. So they give us our markings. There's our center line. End and end. Okay. So we want to put some text in here. So we're going to put simple text. We're going to be drink. And we're going to say okay. We're going to center that. We are going to add another line. And we're going to say me. And we're going to put that in the center line. Now we'll change the color. I'm a purple guy. We'll do that. And we'll do that. We'll make that purple. And then we're going to do text envelope. So there's a couple things we can do here. We can do an arch or an arc. In this case, we want to do an arc. Now, how much to arc it, I'm not sure. Because what they're trying to do is they're trying to get it to come out straight while it's curved, which obviously if we bring this up, our curve is wrong. So what I'm thinking we need to do is we need to play around, not that one, play around with the envelope to see if we can get the arc to more closely resemble the arc of the wrapping. So that one arch, one arc. So that's really close. I don't know if we're going to get any closer than that. So the problem is because I picked some small things. Now, of course, I missed, I don't know how many I moved it. I think it's only one. Right, so that was one tick. So that's sort of hard to see. But if you notice, they look warped here. However, when you straighten them out, remember this curved line here represents this curved line here. So you've peeled out a round object. It's actually a cylinder or a cone with the end cut off to turn it into a flat shape. So you have to design to the curve to get it to roll back to be straight. So what I want to change with this is we are going to drink more alcohol. Of course, that's going to be too big to fit. We're going to shrink it down. Now, if we look, that one doesn't bend enough. And plus, we're still too big. Get it to fit on the design. If you see that, that's not curving enough. So if we're doing an arc, now we need to go one more. So that's a little bit too much. Well, we don't, that's the problem, is we don't have any in between. See, in this, you know it's not going to work here. So this is not an arc. You want to make an arch. Look at us, we're learning. That just made it square again. So let's go an arch. It's still not curling the ends like it should, so I'm picking the wrong envelope. Bridge bottom won't work because that does the wrong thing. Wow. I'm not 100% sure what I just did. Alright, so now it's back to being flat. Let's pick the text. There's a good chance here we're not going to be able to do what we want to do. See, it squeezes, that's bridging the bottom but leaving the sides the same height, so that we definitely don't want to do. And double bridge, that makes the front middle bigger and the end smaller. That's not going to do what we want it to do. So do it with an arc. So that is where we're matching the arc. So that matches that, but then we're not matching the rest of it. Okay. I got that to work, but if you notice, this isn't going where it's supposed to be. So let's try changing the arc back a tick. There we go. Okay. So now, why is it square again? That doesn't make sense. Okay, so it's not so much about matching the arc. See, but now it's not going to be square to... Okay, we seem to be... You know, we're going to delete this and start over again. So, we're going to drink more alcohol. We're going to make that fit slightly smaller so it fits from end to end. So first thing we need to do, change the envelope to an arc. We're going to go up 1. So if we go up 1, we rotate that, we're not anywhere closer. Right, so we're going to undo that, make sure we don't actually rotate it more. So let's do the text envelope, go to arc, add another. Now that, it's touching that, it's touching that, other than being a little too big. This, very close to being, okay. So that looks like that line is going to work. We don't even have to, oh, you know what, I don't know, let's zoom in at the end here. It's not quite perfect, but it's not bad. So we don't have to match that arc as much as we need to make sure that this and that are apparently the same. Add some more text. Today and forever. Ever. Okay, make it smaller. So we know with that, we go to text envelope, we need to go to arc, we need to move it 2 spots over. So that should also give us very close approximation. So now this should come out square on a angled object. I don't know. I just realized I closed my software package without seeing if he actually had a shot glass in there. Or anything with a taper that we might be able to use. Let's see. Mug. Nope. Nothing with a taper. See, the only way I'm going to be able to solve this one would be to actually print this one out. But it should. If this will wrap around the mug or the shot glass, the tapered object, then your text being wrapped, as long as your ends are parallel with your ends and your curve is approximate and it's the same for both texts, it should come out straight. I think. My printer's not hooked up at the moment, so I can't test this theory out, I'll test it out this weekend. We'll see what I come up with. Curved shot glass test. Now, you know what? That one I should have done the. I didn't want to load it, but oh well. Now we're going to load the VPN up just because I clicked the wrong button. But it is 7:30, so we're getting close to the end of our live broadcast. So we'll let this finish. I can close out of this. Oh, I don't need to be back on my YouTube channel yet. Virtuoso is almost open. With the problems I was having, I stopped most of my stuff from auto-loading. Yes, I know the printer's not ready. For anybody who hasn't upgraded, you need to upgrade to the new one. Yes, thank you. I know you loaded the file. Made a few changes for picking your medias, your trays. A little bit different with the layout, whether you preserve the layout from the designer or allow the VPM to handle more than one up if you got more than one job at a time. Definitely let you know the color space better. You can add jobs once you're in the print manager. Definitely more options going through picking your color modes. Setting up your palette, whether you're going to use their built-in color share palette, which I use for all my jobs. It just seems to come out great. A new thing where you can, it's called print to file. It outputs a PRN file, and you can annotate printed pages now. So it's sort of cool. Not that I need anything at that moment. A couple of the other fun things it adds in the context menu. You can stop hot folder scanning. For people who haven't set up hot folders, maybe I'll do something on that. It lets you get into your palette manager. So if you're watching your input and output RGBs, so I only have one printer. I print most everything at high speed, not high quality. But as you go through and you change papers and change modes, you actually can see the output RGBs changing. So it's making its adjustment to match these colors and make them match regardless of substrate. Of course, then it all comes down to everybody pressing right, using the right temperature, the right pressure for their equipment. We're not going to get into that. Don't have a camera, otherwise I'd be doing some of those videos too, but that'll be sometime at another date. All right, well, we're going to sign off here because it's 7:30 and I'm hoping the computer will stay on for a few minutes longer. So I appreciate everybody who stopped by and is watching the videos, and see you next week.